When I was a young girl, my family and I would go camping often. We would take weekend trips a couple times a month and camp at Gaplin State Park area, which was only about a half hour from where we lived. I will never forget the last camping trip of the season when I was about 11. It was about 2 weeks after Labor Day, so school was back in session, and not many people went camping. I went to school like always that Friday morning. Around lunchtime, both of my parents came to the school to get my younger sister and I early so we could go on just one more trip. My sister and I were both very excited. We thought the camping trips were over until next summer. As we bounced excitedly in the back seat of the vehicle, we giggled and talked about all the exciting places we were going to explore this time. You see, my sister Stacy was only 18 months younger than me, so we were pretty close. We both loved to explore and look for strange, unexplainable things. We often used the things and places we found to make up stories to tell each other. In those days, it was safe to let your children wander and explore. We didn't have all the bad things like happening in today's world. When we finally arrived at our campsite, Stacy and I helped set up, and then it was up to us to go gather firewood. We would also use this time to scout out anything that looked interesting or exciting. A few minutes later, Stacy started getting a little nervous. I think we should head back to camp now, Holly. I stopped, took a good look around, and noticed something that looked like a cave. Hold on a minute, I see something over there, I pointed. It looks like a cave or something. Let's go see what it is and then we can head back. Stacy and I laid the firewood we were carrying next to a big oak tree and walked over to the opening. Wow, look at this. I don't remember a cave being here before. We can come back tomorrow and check it out, I said. I stood looking at the entrance for a few minutes. Okay, let's head back now, Stacy said nervously. It's getting dark and I forgot my jacket. I'm getting a little cold. Just as we turned to leave, we heard this strange screech that sounded almost like a train whistle coming from the cave. Stacy and I froze with our backs facing the cave opening. Slowly, we turned around and looked to see what that awful sound was. At the entrance to the cave stood this strange-looking creature. It looked to be a cross between a snake and a bird, probably about maybe 6 or 7 feet tall. The creature had a beak that looked like it might be metal, and the thing only had one eye in the center of its head. The creature made its terrifying cry again and stepped out of the cave and spread its wings. The beast had a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth and wings that were easily 6 foot wide. Stacy and I didn't waste any time and took off, leaving the firewood behind by the big oak tree. We ran for what seemed like forever. In the distance, you could hear the beast flapping its large wings in pursuit of us. Finally, up ahead, we saw that Mom and Dad already had a fire started. We continued to run and scream until we were safely back at the campsite. What's wrong? Why are you girls screaming like that? Mom asked as Stacy jumped into her arms. Breathlessly, I replied, There is a monster in the woods. He was chasing us. There are no such things as monsters, Dad said. Calm down and explain. After a few minutes, I caught my breath and explained what we saw and how it came after us. That sounds like this alligator we heard about growing up, honey, Mom told Dad. That's just an old legend our parents and grandparents used to tell us kids to make us behave, Dad chuckled. I didn't believe what Dad said about no monsters. I know what I saw out there. For the rest of the night, I kept looking around nervously, waiting for the snallygaster to come down and take us away for his dinner. When morning finally arrived, Mom and Dad made us show him the cave. Stacy and I tried to tell them no, but they insisted everything will be all right. They just wanted to see for themselves. Slowly and cautiously, we took Mom and Dad to where the cave was supposed to be. It was here, I swear, I cried, right there where that hill is. Are you sure, sweetie? Mom said. Maybe you took us the wrong way. No, yelled Stacy. We are in the right place. See over there by the big oak tree? That's our stack of firewood we laid there before walking over here. Dad walked around the hill checking everything out. There's no opening? This is not a cave. I think maybe your imagination's got the best of you, along with all the shadows, Dad said. No, Stacy and I yelled. We know what we saw. It was not our imaginations, I pleaded. Okay, calm down, girls, Mom consoled. This is no cave now, and there is no beast. He is gone. I think we are all safe to finish our trip. Let's go back to the site. The rest of the weekend, Stacy and I didn't wander off from our parents. On our way home Sunday, I kept replaying what happened in my mind. To this day, I swear the beast in the woods was the snallygaster. I will never forget that strange-looking beast. Last Halloween, Eric and I were visiting friends and family in our hometown. When we visit, we usually stay in our camper in Eric's mom's backyard. Some friends came over that night and we hung out by the campfire telling spooky stories, like when we were kids. One story in particular caught our attention. It was the story about Civil War soldiers roaming the battlefield at Crampton's Gap. The next night, Eric and I decided to go check it out for ourselves. When we arrived, it was about 11 o'clock at night. We parked in the parking area, which was well lit. When we pulled in, we noticed there were several cars there already, but nobody was around. We really didn't think twice about it and got out, ready to explore. We wandered around, checked out the War Correspondents Memorial and the outside of George Townsend's old home, which was across the street from where we parked. We finally made our way down one of the trails. So far, we hadn't seen or heard anything but a couple of animals scurrying around in the leaves. When we made our way back to the parking area, the cars were still there. It was about 1 a.m. at this point, and I thought it was a little strange to have this many vehicles with no people around, especially this time of night with temperatures in the mid-20s. That's a little strange, I said to Eric. All these vehicles and no people around? I wouldn't think anybody'd be camping tonight. It's way too cold for that. Yeah, me either. Let's walk up here. I saw a picnic pavilion on the other side and another building. As we got closer to the pavilion, we noticed things were still sitting around on the tables like someone was having a picnic. The strange thing was there was still no signs of people. That's weird. Wonder where they are, Eric whispered to me. I don't know, but I don't feel comfortable standing here. Let's go up by the other building. Maybe that's where they are, I replied. As we made our way back up to the last building, an uneasy feeling came over me. Maybe it was being up here in the dark, or maybe it was because I didn't know where the people went. When we approached the building, we noticed that it was the ruins of an old barn. We couldn't go inside of it because it was fenced off, so we walked around the outside of the fence and checked it out. When we came to the backside of the barn, we noticed that there was something along the edge of the woods. As we got closer, we saw it was tents. Upon closer inspection, we noticed that all the tents are ripped and starting to collapse. Oh my God, I said in a loud whisper, what happened? Eric just stood perfectly still. I don't know, but I think we need to get out of here, he said in a very calm voice. When we came back around to the front of the old barn, we heard screaming from the woods behind us. We turned and pointed our spotlight in that direction. All of a sudden, 2 kids came running out of the woods. Both looked terrified. As they caught up to us, they started yelling for us to run. When we made our way back to the well-lit parking area, we attempted to calm the kids down enough to find out what happened. Finally, they calmed down enough to talk, and I couldn't believe what they said. The older boy recounted the story while the other boy just stood there, terrified, looking around everywhere, shaking. We were camping up here with our scout troop and had just gone to bed in our tents when all of a sudden there was this blood-curdling screech that came from the woods. At first, I thought it was the scout leaders trying to prank us until they came and told us to come outside and we had to leave quickly. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this big creature came swooping down from above, trying to attack us. It tore at our tents, and we all just kind of scattered and ran. I don't know where the rest of the troop is. Please help us. I quickly called 911, and it didn't take long for the local police to show up. They started taking statements from the boys and us, and immediately started the search party. They called an ambulance and took the boys to the hospital to get checked out. After giving our statements, we left and went back to Eric's mom's. A few days later, we heard that the rest of the group had been found safe, but cold and hungry, hiding in one of those open shelters on the trail. Funny thing is, all the stories were the same, but the experts that evaluated them believed that what they said they saw was a product of shock, and most likely it was a bear attack. I don't know. I've heard that horrifying screech they described, and I've seen the monster it came from, and I know for a fact it wasn't a bear, but the snallygaster.